welcome back to another HW-Aquascaping video. Today we're going to be looking at the complete series for the ADA 30C, the Dragon Realm. I've had a few problems with this aquarium since the beginning, and I'll talk a little bit more of that once we've gone through the whole series, but I hope you enjoy nonetheless. Today we're going to be doing another aquascaping build tutorial where we're going to be using this ADA 30C, which I acquired from Scape Nature, so shout out to you guys. It's a great tank, really great value for money, and it's about 25 litres I think, yeah, it should make a nice little scape for what I've got planned. The lighting that we're going to be using on this scape is the ONF Flat Nano Plus. Filtration is the Seachem Tidal 35. The heater is an Awase Heat Up 50 watts, and on the back we've got the light ground, which I thought, we've got an ADA tank, let's jazz it up. You can get ADA products as like a substitute, but the light ground is a really good sort of affordable substitute, and to be honest I can't really tell the difference from the ADA ones. So yeah, I think the scape's really popping, and it's for my new edition that I'm really excited to introduce to you in this video. If you follow me on Instagram, you might have seen a few sneak peeks of this, but basically this scape is going to be a better scape. So let's get to the scaping, and I'll introduce you to who I've got for this aquarium. So first things first, I'm trying a bit of a different style of editing this video. Basically, when I do aquascaping build tutorials, I split them into two parts, one being the hardscape, one being the planting. This one's going to be like a full walkthrough tutorial, so I'd like to know in the comments down below if you prefer this style of video, or if you prefer them split up, if you find it easier to follow. Your feedback's really important to me, so yeah, do let me know on that one. But yeah, let's go on to the hardscape. So the rock we're using here is a type of rock called elephant skin rock. It's a really nice rock, and as you can see by the textures, the lines, the grooves in there, do make the rock look a bit like elephant skin. It's a really nice rock. It's great for planting epiphyte plants onto, because they've got like lots of nooks and crannies to root into. But also if you just want to leave them and just let algae grow on them, the like aged texture as such, it just makes it look even better. So yeah, I highly recommend using this in some aquascapes. Now the second bit in here is this nice little piece of wood that, as you can see, I've already got plants on. And basically this piece of wood came out of the Denali Nano tank, the Nano 30 cube with the shrimp in it. So I've stripped that down, and the tank, the ADA tank that you see here, is actually in the same place where that used to be. I've switched positions of my tanks recently. Yeah, basically this piece of wood was facing the opposite direction, so it used to spear out the top of the water, but I could never actually see the Anubias growing on it, and I didn't realise how well it actually rooted on, and I thought, yeah, it looks amazing, this, like, I want to reincorporate it into another scape. So my idea with the scape here is to basically bank a load of aquasoil up in the back left corner, and have it sort of like helter-skelter around the biggest rock to the back right. So it'll be really low down in the back right, and it'll sort of bank up into the back left and go quite high up the tank, about halfway. And then we'll basically plant plants all the way down it. And in the foreground will be just decorative sand with a bit of detail rock as it fades into the aquasoil. So that sort of creates a bit of a retaining wall as such. But yeah, and then the fish will be able to swim underneath the wood, and I'm hoping that it'll look really effective. So there we go, we've got the aqua soil in. Now it's time for the decorative sands. Now, the decorative sand that I've gone for is the ADA La Plata sands that I purchased from Horizon Aquatics. And the one thing I will note is the quality compared to like most sands is really, really high. Like, you know, there's no comparison to ADA products to anything else. And I thought, I've got an ADA tank, I think I should probably definitely choose ADA. But yeah, as I said, I got this from Horizon Aquatics. They sent it really quickly to me. I also got the plants from there, and they were all packaged beautifully. So shout out to you guys, top work as always. But yeah, we'll get the sand in, and we'll move on to the next step. So we're moving on now to adding a little bit of detail stone. It's not a necessary step that you need to take to build an aquarium. I just quite happen to like doing this. I think that, you know, it breaks that sort of unnatural, artificial looking line that you sort of see between decorative sand and then aqua soil. I think this is a little bit more natural in that, like, so you know, you've got the smaller rocks that break into the big sort of rocks, such as that we're using for the hardscape, and then it just blends a lot better, I think. But as I say, it's personal preference. You do not have to do this if you don't want to, but if you do, the particular stone that I'm using here is just Denale Rio Zingu gravel. You sort of get it in a nice little box that's got a bag in it, and yeah, I really like it because you sort of get lots of different textures of rock in there, so it looks a lot more natural to me. You got big ones, small ones, and yeah, I just think it looks really natural and blends in really nicely. So if you want to use that, that is what the product you need to get is. So that is the hardscape complete, and we're moving on to the planting. So the plants that I'm using right now is Cryptocorini Wentii Green. It's a nice little crypt, don't get too big, it's sort of a medium-sized one. And what I've used here is a Tropico 1-2 grow cup, and this is actually just 1 cup's worth of plants. So value for money, I think, is top-notch. I mean, I'm expecting a little bit of crypt melt, but what I'm hoping for in the long run is for the crypts to basically bush out and create a really nice transition from the stem plants I'm going to put at the back into the mid-ground and then into the foreground plants that I'm going to plant in a second. But yeah, it's a really nice crypt, as I say, you know, really nice and green, and I'm hoping it's going to become a really nice dense bush. Now, what I'm doing here now is going to be planting a carpet plant. So the plant I'm using is Micranthomoides Monte Carlo. It's a new plant to me. As you know, I'm not really good at growing carpeting plants. It's not my forte at all. You know, stem plants is great. and epiphytes, but I've never really been good at carpeting plants. You know, for me, it's a little bit too much maintenance. But with this scape, I really wanted to challenge myself, and I thought, yeah, I'm going to go for a carpeting plant. I've got a friend who's had great success with low energy setups with Monte Carlo, so I thought, why not? I'll give it a go. And then I had 1 cup left over. I used 3 cups for the actual carpet, and then this one. But I saw Green Aqua do this, and they basically use it a bit like an epiphyte plant. It's just to wedge it in gaps, and let it just trail down. So what I'm hoping for is that this Monte Carlo here cascades down and sort of joins on the carpet, and I'm hoping that'll look really great. But if not, it's an experiment. I'll just take it out if not. So the second issue that I saw, as you can see, is there's a little bit of aqua soil that's sort of spilling over. Now, usually I'd put a bit of filter floss in there just to sort of stop that, but I've only got 2 rocks in the foreground, and I don't really think it's possible to do that. So what I'm going to do is another trick that I've done before, which is to just put some epiphyte plants in that gap, and as they sort of root in, they'll sort of create a natural barrier as such to stop this aqua soil from spreading onto the decorative sand. So the plant that I'm using here is Bucephalandra Thea Green. It's a new Bucephalandra to me again. I'm using a lot of new plants in this one. It's got a different texture to like normal Bucephalandras. They're just sort of like a more rounded leaf on this one, rather than the sort of like crinkly textured leaf, which I thought was quite nice. And then the second plant, which is another recycled plant, should I say, is some Bucephalandra Kedagang. Now, this particular Kedagang came from the shrimp tank as well. And that shrimp tank is low energy, and it's been running off of a fluval plant light, which it's not been running on its full capacity lighting either. So look at the colours on this. I was absolutely amazed when I pulled this out at the deep reds and purples that are coming out of this, compared to the Kedagang that I have in the Asian Peninsula Aquarium, which is like just a really dark purpley black colour. So when I saw it, I thought, you know what, I've got to put this in. This is like the most amazing plant I've seen. You know, the diversity in colours that are in that plant. I don't know if it picks up as well as it does in real life on the camera, but it's definitely amazing. So it's got to go in. And moving on. So when I was looking at this piece of wood, I noticed in between the gaps in the Anubis Nana Bonsai, there was a few big gaps. So what I've done here is I've just got some Bucephalandra Wavy Green. It's you know, not quite Anubias, but it is an epiphyte plant, and it's bright green as well. So I thought that would make a nice little alternative to put in there, add a bit of extra texture, and just fill out those gaps. And then we're moving on to the back corner now. So the plant that I've chosen to put in this one is another new one. It is Rotala rotundifolia, but is an orange juice variety, which I've seen growing on the internet and in a few YouTube videos. I thought it looks amazing, and I thought we'll just add that dash of colour that the scape's sort of missing, because it is very green heavy other than the Kedagang. So yeah, I thought that back left, if that's like nice and orange, fades into the green, and then you've got that sort of spark of reddy purple from the Kedagang. But yeah, we're going to get that filled up, and I will introduce you to the new inhabitant. finished the scape off with a few floating plants, a mixture of Salnavia natans and red root floaters, and it's time to introduce you to my new betta. This is Spyro. He's a half moon betta, and yeah, I'm really glad to finally have a betta back in the gallery as such. It's been a long time since I've had one, and I don't think I could have got a better one really. He's just so confident. Like even when I first got him, he's out and about, he's flaring his fins up, and he's actually feeding out my hand, which I think is just absolutely amazing. Say I've only had him about a week, but yeah, he's just absolutely an amazing character. And you know, I've had a few shy bettas in the past, but this guy is just spot on. You know, he's absolute perfection, and you know, I've really fallen in love with him from day one. Really, he's just an amazing fish. Today you join me for an update video on the ADA 30C, which is Spyro's aquarium. As you can see, he's here, happy to see me as always. And yeah, just a quick update for the aquarium. So we've been having a little bit of thread algae issues since it was set up, mainly on the Java moss up the top where it's quite close to the light. I've been using some Seachem XL just to basically drop on top of it, just to get rid of it. And I've also been doing a few more frequent water changes. But other than that, relatively the plants are doing okay in here. But yeah, it's doing alright. Basically just going to keep up with those regular water changes, and we'll see how we're doing. But I thought today might be a really nice time to add some more fish to the aquarium. So I'm going to pop off to my local fish shop and we'll see what fish they've got in. So I've been taking a look around my local Maiden Aquatics, and I stumbled across these, which are ember tetras. So I thought, seeing as my betta fish is named Spyro after Spyro the Dragon, I thought ember tetras might be a really cool addition to the tank, as obviously embers, fire, you know, it sort of fits thematically. So I think I'm going to get a nice little group of these to go in the aquarium, and hopefully they'll make a really nice addition. Okay, so I've just got home. Here are the fish right here in the bag. I've decided to go for a little group of 8 of them. I think that'll nicely fill out the tank, as there's only going to be these guys in here, so they don't get too large. And yeah, I think 8 is a nice little number to go for. So I've just turned the light off. It is a little bit bright in here just because I've got quite a lot of sun at the moment showing. But yeah, Spyro's inquisitive as ever to go and see his new tank mates. He's never really been aggressive to anything. He was kept with some other fish just before I popped him in his own tank, so he's perfectly fine going in with other fish. And yeah, can't wait to see how they all get along together once they're all in the tank. So I'll give them a moment to acclimate, and we'll get them in the tank. so it's a couple of days later and it is race day, so I'm going to do a water change whilst watching the Formula 1. The fish have been settling in brilliantly, however the Rotala rotundifolia over the last day or so has literally just melted away, so whilst I was at Maiden Aquatics I did buy some more plants to add to one of my other tanks, but I'm going to add them into this one, which is Limnophilia aromatica. So I'm going to do a water change, get these planted in, and hopefully the tank will start looking a lot better. So we'll get to the water change now. Okay, and now we're up to date with the tank as you see it in its current form. It's been up and running just over a year, and I'm not ashamed to say it looks an absolute mess. And yeah, it's just been an absolute failure of an aquascape. I'm not ashamed to admit that whatsoever. For some reason, and I don't know why, the plants have just not taken as they have in other scapes that I've done previously, and I've not really been doing anything differently. I use the same soil in all my tanks. Lighting wise, it's been different as well. I've actually even upgraded it to a CO2 system as well from a low tech, and even then the plants have not really taken to it as they have in any of my other tanks. I don't really know why, but it sort of made me lose interest in the aquarium. To double that, I also had an incident with Spyro where when I was doing a water change to try and get the tank back to how it was, I accidentally nicked a little bit of his fin. Completely my fault, I felt absolutely terrible, but he developed fin rot. So I put him in my larger Denelay 70 litre tank, dosed that with some treatment just to give him a bit more water space to hopefully make it a bit more of a purer environment. And he did grow his fins back fairly quickly. I then put him back in the tank, and yeah, it's just not piqued my interest. So therefore, I wasn't ready to rescape it just because it takes a lot of money and everything to get plants and scaping supplies, and I wanted to have an actual idea of what I wanted to do with the aquarium. So I just ended up leaving it and sort of using it as a bit of an experiment to sort of see if I could grow certain plants in there, what plants were taking, try and understand what was actually going wrong with the aquarium. In the meantime, the Ember Tetras, I'm down to one because shortly after the second episode, they were fine for about a month, maybe 6 weeks most, and then all of a sudden, yeah, 5 of them just decided to jump out. Not all at the same time, but they jumped out. Yeah, I'd say over the course of about a week, it was just like one every day. Spyro wasn't bothering them at all, so I don't really know why they did it, but I'm left with one. I then transferred in the Celestial Pale Danios from the Denelay Scapers Tank 70 when I stripped that down. And there's about 4 or 5 of them in there now. There weren't there was more than that, but again they jumped out, and I have no idea why, because the water quality is totally fine. It's the same as all my other aquariums. I've got really I just have no idea why they've done it. The only success that is in this tank is that the cherry shrimp have actually been breeding like crazy. So much so they've actually created a bit of a mess because all the soil, as you can see, has just come on top of the sand. So I've actually been planting into that. As you can see, the Hydrocotyl verticulata, that's another experiment plant that I've just popped in there. It's taken relatively well in a short space of time. As I mentioned, I converted it to a CO2 setup, so The Anubias and the Bucephalandra that's on the wood, that has gone absolutely crazy. I put a bit of hydrocotyle to grow it immersed at the top. That has gone absolutely splendidly as well. And there's some really nice cherry shrimp, as you can see, from the breeding. So, yeah, in a failure, it's kind of been a success with the shrimp, but not with anything else really. And yeah, it's, I'm not ashamed to admit I've failed in the scape, but it would have been nice to sort of understand what was actually going wrong, but I just can't put a finger on it. So if you have any idea, certainly let me know in the comments down below. I would love to know your thoughts on why you think the plants haven't taken so well to this aquarium, because it's no different in terms of light duration, water change regime, fertilizers, etc. So yeah, I have no idea why it's done that as such, and it would be great to sort of like have a rough understanding, even though it's all stripped down now. But again, yeah, I'm not ashamed to admit that it looks a mess, and it's come to the end of its life now because sadly Spyro has passed away. He wasn't looking too great for a couple of days. He was really lethargic, laying on the bottom, and yeah, he passed away a couple of days after. I was sort of debating putting him out his misery, which I really don't like doing unless I know it's going to stop the fish from suffering. But he was already gone by that point, so I'm happy to know that he's not suffering anymore. And I've had him about a year and a half, which in terms of betters I know isn't that bad, because again, you don't know how old they are when you buy them. He was quite a large size when I purchased him, so yeah, he's definitely had a good fulfilled life in that time. And I hope that even though his tank did look a bit of a mess, that he's had a high quality of life. So I'm happy in that sense. But yeah, it's time to move on. I don't know if I'll get a better straight away. It'd have to be something pretty special for me to get one right away. But I am going to rescape the tank and potentially just have it as a shrimp tank for the time being until I find another better. Or if I want to put another better in there, I might decide on something else, but who knows. But anyway, I hope that you can enjoy the series as short as it has been, and I hope that you can also learn from some of the things that maybe have gone wrong in this aquarium and not do them in yours. But yeah, that's all from me today, guys. I hope you've been doing really well and keeping safe and enjoying doing what you're doing in your aquascaping lives. I will catch you in the next video. Take care, everyone. Bye bye.